All right, today we are diving into something truly different, a surreal philosophical journey that doesn't go outward to the stars, but inward, deep into the self. And it kicks off with a really unsettling idea.
Right off the bat, we get hit with this. Think about that for a second. It completely frames the entire journey we're about to take. It's this idea that we aren't really in control, that there are parts of our own minds we've never even visited. So what does it mean to be a guest in your own house? Well, let's find out.
So, our story begins with this group, the Uncanny Wanderers, and they're just stuck, paralyzed under the light of something called the Hollow Sun. Now, this is not your normal, friendly sunlight. It doesn't warm you. The text calls it a psychic scalpel, a light so cold and precise that it literally cuts into your mind. To really get what's happening to them, you need to understand this one word, unheimlich. It's German for the uncanny, or maybe even better, the unhomely. You know that feeling when something is so familiar but also just wrong, a little bit off? That's the feeling the Hollow Sun creates. It takes the most familiar thing in the universe, yourself, and makes it feel totally alien. And here's the mechanism behind it. The light just bypasses our ego. That's the part we think of as us, the controlled, conscious self, the supposed master of the house. Instead, it shines a spotlight directly on the soul. But it reveals the soul as this mechanical, repetitive machine. It's the guest in the basement just running on old, primal programming we had no idea was even there. To try and make sense of all this, the Wanderers tell each other stories, like this parable. And it perfectly captures this horror of being forced to look at your true self. So, a traveler tries to shatter a mirror showing him all his worst parts. But breaking it just makes it worse. 1,000 reflections staring back at him. That's exactly what the Hollow Sun does. It turns the whole world into a hall of mirrors, and there's absolutely nowhere to hide from the parts of yourself you've been trying to ignore. Okay, so they've had this horrifying revelation on the surface, but their journey? Oh, it's far from over. Now, almost in a trance, they head down, descending into an underground temple for the next phase of this transformation. Deep inside this temple, the feeling is just heavy, super oppressive. They're all gathered around this massive pit, and the text says gravity itself feels like a crushing embrace. So you get the sense this isn't just a physical journey downwards, they're being psychologically pressed deeper and deeper into themselves. And this is where things get really strange. They start a ceremony called the Ritual of the Inverted Eucharist. Now normally a ritual like that is about cleansing sin, right? Well, this one is the total opposite. The goal here is to welcome the monster inside, to fully integrate with it. You can see the steps here are all symbolic. They eat the bitter bread of the id, the raw animal part of the mind. They drink mercury, which reflects an upside-down world. They chant their deepest fears over and over until the words become meaningless noise. And that last step says it all. Stop fighting the dark and become it. This whole ritual is designed to confront what's called the shadow, and it's really important we get this right. This isn't just a simple dark side or some evil twin. In this philosophy, the shadow is the real architect of your desires. It's the engine that's actually driving you, buried deep beneath all the rules and morals society piled on top. And another one of their stories makes this crystal clear. A woman tries to kill her shadow by making a room pitch black. But what happens? The shadow just becomes the darkness. It's everywhere. The lesson is pretty blunt. You can't defeat it. You can't escape it. Because on a fundamental level, it is you. So, everything has been building towards this one single, violent moment. This is the climax of the ritual, the act that is going to completely shatter their old selves for good. And then it happens. A figure called the Prophet steps forward and smashes a great mirror, sending all the shards tumbling down into that deep pit. This is it, the symbolic destruction of their self-image, of that perfect, ideal person they all thought they were supposed to be. The fallout from this is instant, and it's a total psychic catastrophe for their old identities. The ego ideal, that mask we all wear, it's fractured forever. The raw energy of the id comes flooding in. All these repressed memories are unleashed in a chaotic storm. It even gets physical. They start bleeding this weird silver ichor, marking their transformation.
After going through all of that, they are just fundamentally different. They've let go of that very human need to find meaning, to find a comfortable home in their own minds. There's something else now, uncanny companions. And they're finally at peace with that unhomely feeling, both in the world and inside themselves.
So what happens now? The ritual is done. They've been completely transformed. They emerge from the temple, but
They're not just going back to their old lives. No way. They walk the world now as ghosts of themselves. Their new purpose isn't personal at all. It's to be a living, breathing reminder of the void that exists inside every single person. Their silence, just their presence, is described as a contagion, an infection of the unhomely, designed to just unsettle everyone they meet and make them question how stable their own minds really are.
And the whole thing ends on this final, really provocative thought. The ultimate takeaway from this bizarre journey is that being an isolated single self is an illusion. In this upside-down world, the only real sin is to believe you are the sole master of your own house, when it's actually filled with shadows, echoes, and guests you haven't even met yet.